Good morning. T-Speaker 222 XRP Future Millionaire with the side bet on XM and Future Digibyte. Oh geez, so it's occurred to me at 10:22 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the East Coast. It's Monday, August 29th, 2022 on the East Coast at 10:22 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, as I'm trying to improve my intro for the people around the world that have requested me to put the time, date, stamp it. They want to know everything, so they make sure they're on the same time and day. 'Cause some people are before me or after me, as it turns out, you know. So we're gonna cover a couple of things, but it's occurred to me that I have not been covering DGB as I normally do, and it's I was like, holy crap, I have not covered DGB as much. And it's also occurred to me in the market that it's doing exactly what we were talking about. So we're going to take a stop at XRP, and we're going to end on DGB. And then I'm going to also teach you a little bit more about DGB. So you're going to learn more about the blockchain and why I'm absolutely in love with DGB, and why I'm the Future Digibyte OG, which, you know, after 18 months, you know, I have a lot more credibility now. So I'll continue to talk about DGB, but I need a favor. Make sure to hit that like button, turn that bell notification to all, and subscribe to the channel if you're new or returning. It's as simple as that. Help drive more people to the channel, and consider joining Com's Army. And that would avoid me doing paid advertisements. Let's just leave it at that. Let's see. So XRP. We came right back over this 5-year trend line, and I talked about it, and I talked about it even more on Twitch. It would be so hard for me to believe that we wouldn't come back up to 33.27. Because we had such a hard time breaking that support line. I found it hard to believe that we wouldn't at least come back up there and retest that. That's just a support line. We have an ultimate area where if they really want to dick us around here, and if we're looking at it from the market manipulator's perspective, they could theoretically come all the way up to 34.17, because that's the drop of the bear flag resistance, that, or support that ended up resistance. But I really feel like this is where, and I'm very tempted if we get back up to 33.26. That's where my initial short was. I sold them out. I had 2 shorts. So now look at what would have happened. I had 2 shorts at 33.26, as you guys know. And watch me on Twitch if you want to get more detail. But I sold them, long story short, 45 and 40%. Well, now I'm not even I'm back to even. It's back up to 33.08. I got in at 33.23 and 33.18. So, but these are predictable moves because it always back tests. It doesn't even matter how bad it looks. They always back test. You'll see a history of this. Even when it looked terrible out of this ascending triangle, when it broke down all the way to support, remember what I said? It has to come up and at least come up and attempt to back test it, which it did. Now it breaks down. I said, don't get too excited. We have to at least prove a breakdown here, but most likely going to come up to 33.23. That's what happens. And maybe it comes up a little overzealous to the 200-day and the 30-minute. But this is where we can see if we're going to get a reversal here. You know, you don't ever want to get caught up in one of these up and down, quick, volatile moments in the market. And if you're leverage trading, don't ever tell me you're longing it in leverage trading. I'll kick you square in the nuts. That's just me. That's my public service announcement to you. If you're in my community and you're bragging about leverage trading, but you're going long, you're doing it wrong. If you're going long, you're doing it wrong. And I'm going to kick you in the dong. So, that was an unintentional rhyme, but it actually fit. So, who am I to argue with the gods? So, my point is, if you're leverage trading, don't go long. That's for spot trading. That's when you add to your position. Because if we're in a bear market, the only reason you should even be thinking about leverage trading is to go short, because you can't buy a spot short. You can't, I mean, it doesn't do yet. So, you know, it's a leverage trade. But when I go long, it's so that I can add to my position. I think that's a very key thing everybody needs to understand about the XRP Future Millionaire. Aside from the teaching moments, there's nothing. I will never go long. I didn't play this long, even though I knew it was going to go up. I'm waiting for the next short, because if I feel like it's the time to go long, I'm going to buy my spot position. And until then, I'm going to capitalize going short when I can. So that's what we're looking at for XRP. The key moment here is 33.26. Please take to heart what I say. I'm just not some asshole on YouTube now. I'm Tom. I'm more than XRP Future Millionaire. I'm Tom to you. You know me as Tom now. $00989 is the support. And look how it, even though we haven't talked about it, I always try to spotlight for the new and the old. Sometimes the older viewers take for granted what I do. But for the new, just understand how to play with these lines. So, Lewis, how do we know if it's support or resistance? Lewis, if I can't bounce between the lines, Lewis, huh? How do I know if this is support, Lewis, or resistance, Lewis? And for anybody who doesn't know, Lewis once said that I gave the best technical analysis he's ever seen. And this was way back, less than, what, 3,000 people watching. Or maybe less than 2,000. And he said, my only problem with you is the price action goes between your support and resistance line. And then he finished it up after I commented back and said, well, Lewis, how would you like me to know, and this is in the comment section, if it's support or resistance? Well, Lewis continues to say one of the most hypocritical things about DigiByte I've ever said, and I've actually blocked it out of my memory because it was so, it made me so upset that I had to block it out. I'm sure it'll come back some point, but it was about my baby DGB. And it was a dig at it, and I'm like, how dare you say that about DG? So then I went off, and I was doing the update, and the price action just happened to cross the resistance, and I just went off on Lewis. But that's not to be distinguished with Lewis, good Lewis. We have good Lewis, who gave the single biggest donation in the history of the show, and then we also have Lewis. We're not talking about you, Lewis. How do I even know your name is Lewis? Your name's not Lewis on YouTube, Lewis. So how would I know? So we had Lewis in the audience who got mad because I was talking about Lewis, but his name on YouTube was not Lewis. So the only reason I knew his name was Lewis was because he said his name was Lewis. And all three of these Lewises had a name spelled three different ways. The one was L-O-U-I-S, the one was L-U-I-S, and then there was the L-U-I-E-S, and I could never understand if he was just messing with me when the name was on YouTube. But, you know, I don't know how it goes. But that's the three stages of Lewis, and I know a lot of people haven't heard it for a long time. But apparently I went back to being real at some point in the last couple weeks, so it just flows out. But now let's get back to the serious tone. DGB. 979. Or actually 989 is the important support line that we came back down under. We quickly broke back over and we've created what looks like a bullish Gartley here in the 4-hour time frame. So if that's the case, we're going to have to honor this, and then it'll probably back test the 20-day, come back up, and our ultimate point would be here. It's not going to break down from here. We'd probably come back and retest 1082 at minimum. So if we're looking at DGB, that's what I'd be looking at right now. We're trading within the 989 and 1086, but it's telling us right now we're probably coming back up and retesting it at minimum, because that looks like a bullish Gartley to me. And yes, it's very early on in the process, so it's my mind working for me. And for anybody who doesn't know what a bullish Gartley is, this is what it is. So these are just a few explanations, but basically, if you're trading a Gartley, and this is not a prototypical, because it's, you know, I mean, it is and it isn't, because most of them come from a line of coming down from a breakout, and then it's a retest, and then it breaks back out. But I'm going to show you a key thing right now. So when you're looking at this, what we're looking for in a W formation, and this is just the basics of the basics in case you just want to understand. So this left side, you want this right side to pull farther down. And then if it pulls up, that shows a little control by the bears. And then when it, oops, sorry, I slipped. And then when it comes up on a retest here, it would prove continuation to at least the last support area to prove resistance. Now that's what I get out of this. Now if it would have done something like this, it probably would have got rejected here and then rolled around. That's the difference. Instead of rolling around, I think now at worst it goes here, but it can continue on past there. I think that's what that told us there, and that's why I would call it a bullish Gartley. Even though most would say, nah, you know, it's not Gartley. Yeah, okay, whatever. But it still works in the same way. Some people are going to try to spin it as a cipher or whatever, or butterfly. I'm not going to go deeper into different meanings. I'm just going to call it a Gartley because you can see a W. Just like I used to call head and shoulders, even though we were in ascending triangles, because everybody could recognize the head and shoulders. That's what I'm doing, keeping it simple. If you don't like it, hey, it behooves me, because everything works the same, doesn't it? I think a lot of times we get too caught up in the definitions instead of just keeping it simple. We get too caught up in all the indicators instead of just keeping it simple. So I say learn technical analysis, and there's nobody better than me. And I don't charge you. Pay it forward, $9.99, Tom's Army. Just making sure that person wasn't in my driveway, beeping at me. So that's what I'm seeing with DGB. On the USD DGB chart, I have both. You can see this critical resistance line that we passed back over, and that was the breakdown of this ascending triangle pattern. So right now is a very critical time for DGB, and we have popped back over, which is exactly what I was saying. This W shows continuation. So remember the last pattern where the support was? This would be a retest on there, and then it could bounce out a little bit, maybe, and finish off something like this, and then decide even. So confluency is what I like, and both those lines pattern up. They both line up for me. So, you know, confluency sometimes is what we want. And that's what we're seeing, because look where the 200-day is on the 30-minute time frame on USD, and then on the USDT chart. I mean on USDT, and then on the USD chart, look at my the ascending triangle support resistance line right now that it's trying to play. It's exactly where the 200-day is on the 30-minute. So that's a lot of confluency there. So we're going to see exactly how this unfolds in the days to come.
What are Digiassets? Digiassets are digital representations of a real-world asset that are treatable but cannot be duplicated or counterfeited. Anything could be a Digiasset. How about tickets to your local basketball game? Of course. What about kickstarting a business idea with shares in a company? Absolutely. The latest crypto pets, property tiles, in-game currencies, virtual trading cards. Yes, you can. With Digiassets, you can easily create tokens, assets, and more, all backed by the rock-solid security of the Digibyte blockchain. Best of all, in addition to sending and receiving Digiassets directly from your Digibyte mobile wallet, you can also create them from your mobile as well. Digiassets is powered by the DGB blockchain. Digibyte. Faster, more secure, forward thinking.